Okay, so thank you all so much for joining. My name is Luma Chenyi. I am the Vice President for Diversity in Dentistry, and I'm also the programming chair. I am very passionate about especially the pre-dental program, because at that point you've decided that you want to pursue dentistry. And from personal experience, it is like there is not enough information, especially for those of us that do not have someone in the field to guide us. That is why diversity in dentistry really tries to be able to provide the information that can help you once you've made that decision to go to dental school, help you to be able to get into dental school. If you've been with us, we started a year by setting our goals. We had the goal setting workshop, and then we had the budgeting workshop, because once you set that goal to be a dentist, there is a lot of money involved. And then we had the study session, how to study for the exam. And now another aspect of dental school, which is almost as important as deciding to go to dental school, is where to apply. So I am really excited and humbled with people that I feel like my little sisters that have done that and have succeeded. And I'm really hoping that you come with your questions and just an open mind, willing to learn or take something from your experience to help you in the process. So today we're going to talk about narrowing down your dental school list. The last time I checked, I think there are 73 dental schools that you can apply to, but not everyone might be a good fit for you. I say it all the time, the best dental school is the one you get accepted to. But before you get accepted to that best dental school, you have to decide which one is the best one to apply to. And you will like many people fail to realize just how important that is. So in the interest of everybody's time, I would like for the panelists to briefly introduce themselves. As I mentioned, I'm excited for two Texas Tech students. And I'm just amazed by what they can at their at what they have accomplished so far this year. I met Savannah, and she's my little sister. She got into a lot of schools. She knew how to narrow it down. And student Dr. Benson, I called her that from the moment she was accepted. I'm just so excited. And I'm really excited for them to share how they got to narrow it down and get into where they got into. So I'll start with you, Linda. If you can please share a little bit about yourself and what you
Hi.
answer.
Oh, what did you say? I'm sorry.
If you can share a little bit about yourself, where you are in your dental journey.
Okay, so hi everyone, good evening. So my name is Linda Benson. I am an incoming student at Midwestern University, Illinois. Um, I am actually just a brief, I'm a master's student at Rutgers University, and I applied this common cycle. I am a second time applicant, so I was successful this second time around applying. I'll talk about the first time around and what I could have done differently, but that's just a little bit about me. Yeah, so I hope everyone finds benefit from this conversation tonight. Um, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. I'll go to Savannah next.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day. My name is Savannah, and I'll be attending Arizona School of Dental Medicine and Oral Health. I graduated undergrad at Texas Tech University in 2021, so I'm currently in my second gap year, but I did apply last cycle and to get in this, or last year to get in this year. It's kind of weird how that works, but yeah.
Thank you so much. Amaka, I'll go to you next.
Hey y'all, good evening. I'm glad to be here with y'all today. I'm a first year dental student at the Texas Tech Woody L. Hunt School of Medicine in El Paso. And for undergrad, I went to the University of Texas in Austin and I graduated last year. And then I got in luckily on my first round. So I've been a dental student for about 8 months now. And yeah.
Thank you so much. And last but not the least, Brittany.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany. I'm originally from Houston. I'm a first year dental student also at Texas Tech Woody L. Hunt School of Dental Medicine. And I got in my second time applying. I also graduated from UT Austin in 2021.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. I see UT Austin and Texas Tech is representing tonight. Okay, so the first part I have shared several times how important it is to narrow down your list. Can any of you, y'all don't have to speak at once. Can any of you share like when you started narrowing down your school list, like once you decided you were going to go to school to dental school, what was the thought process like to selecting what schools you would go to or you would apply to?
I guess I'll go first. Um, so since I'm originally from Houston, I knew I wanted to be close to home and close to family. And I did want to stay in Texas just because I knew that it was cheaper and also I would be an in-state applicant. Um, my second time applying, I did think about applying out of state, but I knew that if I got into a Texas school, that I would definitely go to the Texas school, even if the out of state school was better, just because it was closer to home and again, also cheaper. So that's how I narrowed my the schools that I would apply to only Texas schools.
Yeah.
I can add, when I started creating my list of schools to apply to, I had attended the IDEA Go Dental convention where all of the dental schools or a lot of the dental schools were there. So that gave me the opportunity to see the culture that the schools, had, like the culture of the school, ask questions that were important to me, like clinical exposure, um, diversity stuff. So after I attended that, I was able to make like a rough list of schools that I was interested in. And that was just kind of how I started creating a list of schools that I was going to potentially apply to.
Savannah?
Okay. For me, whenever I first started studying for the DAT, I was using DAT Booster, and the cool feature that DAT Booster had was it had all of the school statistics in there, which I found very, very helpful. I first started out obviously in state. I did live for like 11 years in Texas. So I did start off with Texas, but I did move to Arizona towards the end of 2021. So that kind of like during applying, it was a little bit complicated to see if I would get in state. I was trying to still get in state, but it didn't work out, which is okay. So I also applied to the state where I am right now, Arizona. And then I applied to states that I can see myself living or maybe where I had family members in already. So I'd feel comfortable, moving there because you don't want to apply to a school where you can't see yourself living there or maybe having some familial support in that state. So I would say, yeah, just looking through using utilities that are given to you, like DAT Booster, and use those resources to do more research about schools that interest you.
Thank you. How about you, Amaka? Anything to add?
Yeah, kind of similar to what Brittany said, because I'm also from Texas. So Texas is a little different. It has its own application system that's different from the rest of the schools in the United States, and it's called the TMDSAS. It's a little bit different when you're applying to Texas schools, but I knew that I wanted to stay in Texas because it is cheaper and I've lived here my whole life and all my people are here. So that helped me narrow down my list a lot. But I also did fill out the AdSAS application. I never submitted it though, because I knew that if I were to have gotten into a school out of state and to an in-state Texas school, I would have picked the Texas school. So I didn't see a point in spending like $1,000+ on out-of-state schools when I felt comfortable staying in Texas. So that's how I narrowed down my list.
Okay, makes sense. I guess the recurring theme is that it's about like staying close to family, watching that cost because the cost can add up, and also using the resources that are available to you. So with that in mind, like, is there like anything that you could have done differently? Like take yourself back to this point where it's time to apply. Is there like anything that you could have done differently? If you could change one thing about your school choices, what will it be? If you could do something again, what will it be?
I'll talk. Oh, Savannah, do you want to go or?
I was just gonna say, so a lot of the schools that I picked, I reached out to a couple students that were currently at the schools, and I kind of got their information about how they feel about the school and how they've been liking it so far. And I kind of gauged that a little bit, and that kind of helped me choose as well as where to apply to. So I would say if you can do that, if you can reach out to someone, I would.
Yeah. I was also going to add, and this is going back to when I first applied to the first time around. What I learned from that first application cycle was I submitted my application very late into the cycle, and I should have listened to the advice of others when they said, just wait. And wait till next cycle. So what I would have done differently that first time was not rush the application cycle, but really spend the time and prepare myself for the next application cycle. And really, I was just rushing. I was picking a whole bunch of schools, that had the last minute application dates, not really doing the research I needed. So that's what I would have done differently that first time around, was really spend the time, look into the schools that I really wanted to go into and not rush the process. And I used it this time around, this coming cycle.
Nice. Amaka, Brittany, anything to add?
I was just gonna say, I wish I had reached out to more dental students at the different schools that I was looking at, because I felt like I kind of had a limited point of view of each school. Like I wasn't fully aware of like the class culture and everything that came with the school. So I think if I had looked more into it, then it would have been a better or more informed decision. Not that my decision was wrong or anything, but just to give myself more information about each school.
I kind of agree with what Amaka was saying. I didn't really talk to students at the school, but I think if I could go back in time, I would talk to more students at different schools just to see and ask like better questions that relate to me. I feel like I was asking questions that I think they wanted to hear during the interview, but another thing that I would do the same is like take my time. Kind of like Linda was saying, I didn't really take my time with my application. Um, Actually, mine was kind of opposite. I felt like I didn't take that much time with my application and I just like rushed to turn it in. Because everybody says you should turn it in early July or end of June, but I wasn't ready to turn it in and I just turned it in. And I think that kind of messed me up the first time. But the second time I took my time and I turned it in when I felt like my essays and my whole application was good enough.
When you better to take your time and do it right than to do it hurriedly and have to do it more than once.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But one of the things that a lot of you have shared was like reaching out to the right people and asking the right questions. So if I were applying this cycle, you've mentioned reaching out to students. How do I go, like, or if you did reach out to students, how do you go about like finding the students to reach out to? Because sometimes like it's good to reach out to the schools, but then the schools will filter it. There will be some sort of filter. How do you get the unfiltered opinion from the schools or from the students? How, if you did that, how did you go about it? Or now that you're in the process, how will you advise someone to go about that?
So, oh, go ahead.
No, you go. You can go.
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
perfect.
for me, what I ended up doing is that if there's a school that you're interested in and there's like an impressions day or like some type of event that's going on at the school that you can make it to, I would say go ahead and register for that and go, just because you could meet a lot of students and a lot of faculty that way. And that's how I was able to get, make connections with people and gather, their Instagrams. And then whenever I needed to ask a question, I would just DM them or get their numbers. So I feel like that's a really good way to meet students or people that attend the school. And students also know other students at other schools. So that's kind of like also what helped me, because they're like, oh, I have a friend at so and so, I'll give you your number, maybe you can text them and ask them questions. So I would say if you can just like get your foot in the door and just like be able to introduce yourself to these students, I think that's a really good first step in trying to get in contact with them.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people, like people that had interviews this cycle, some of them followed me on Instagram. I didn't know who they were, but they went to like UT because I was in the pre-dental society at UT. And they would DM me on Instagram. I think like reaching out to students or current students would be helpful. Also, actually Amaka told me this, which I didn't do this at my interview, but she told me she did. She asked about I guess since this is a diversity club. She asked about diversity, like the Black population at Texas Tech. And I think just asking those questions, like you're gonna go to a new environment, you need to know what environment you're entering. So like asking those tough questions during the interview or even after you get accepted would be very helpful.
Yeah, just to follow up to Brittany's point, I asked the director of admissions at my school about the Black population because these are things that I needed to know. And she gave me a list of students. I think she gave my email out to different students that could reach out to me. And one person did. And she really gave me a lot of good insight into the school. And she honestly made me feel better about coming into that space because I was like nervous about that. But also, in addition to that, I was going crazy on Instagram. Like, if I saw like UT, like whatever Texas dental school in their bio, sometimes I would just blindly DM them and wait for a response. So that's one way that I got some people to let me know about their school. But also, I wish that at my interviews, I had asked like the dental students that were already there for more information or like their contact info if I wanted to follow up with them after the interview to see if there would be any advice or tips or anything that they could give me about the school. But I was too scared to do that. But honestly, I feel like that would be a good way to get more information about the school that you're looking at because the real tea comes from the students themselves. So I feel like that's the best avenue to go.
Yeah. And I'll add, just to piggyback off of what Savannah said, impression days, but also to a lot of schools offer like summer immersion programs. So I think those are also great opportunities to really, really deep dive and get to know the students and faculty and get your foot in the door.
Yeah, I would just add to that, like not just the impression days, like most admissions offices have some events going on. They're always doing something. Like even if you've been out of school for forever, I was out of school for 15 years before coming to dental school. Even if you've been out of school for forever, find some undergraduate club. They will have those contacts. As far as reaching out to students, I think it's like a big difference between the first time I applied to dental school and when I did get in. Almost everybody is on social media. Do take advantage of it. For us minorities, there is the SNDA, there is the Hispanic Dental Association, there is the Asian Pacific Association. Follow all of those groups because they'll always have something going on. For instance, like the SNDA, now it is combined with the undergraduate SNDA and the NDA. So if you find yourself in the position to show up to any of their activities, you're meeting actual dentists, you're meeting actual dental students, you're meeting undergraduate students. And another thing that you all shared is like asking the right questions, which was one of the things I was hoping that we could talk about. Like the questions that you should ask, like not just about diversity, like what is the culture of the school like? So like especially for Brittany and Amaka that are now in school, what are like some additional questions that if you were to go back to your interview, you would like to ask about the school? Or if you're reaching out to a dental student, if someone is reaching out to you as a dental student, what questions do you think they should ask that will like really make you feel like you need to give them the honest answer? Because I know it's always like, okay, what is like how is your DEA system, DEI system like? But aside from, if I ask an administrator what the DEI system is like, of course they'll give me like the standard textbook response. So what other questions can you share that you should ask to really know what it is like being a minority in that environment? Because I think it's really important as well if you're going to be in that environment for 4 years.
I think a good question to ask is about the daily schedule and how it is balancing your time in school versus your non-academic life. Because the administrators only know so much, like they're not the actual students that are going through it every day, unlike the actual students. Um, so I wish I had asked more about that, like the daily living and how it really is and the stress levels and how the exams are set up, et cetera, et cetera. Because I really didn't have that information. Even when I first came into the school, like when I started last summer, I didn't know like how the schedule would be like. And I feel like that's not something that you want to be surprised by necessarily if you have the right information. So asking about how they balance life and the real deal of how school is like day to day. Also, exam schedules. Like at our school, we have exams every Friday. So we basically have the weekend off. And I didn't know that until I got into the school. So that was like a good surprise. But if I had ended up at another school, like I probably wouldn't have been happy to hear like what their exam schedule is like, you know? So getting into those specific questions, I feel like good starters to know more information about the school.
Mhm. Just like day to day, d- um, okay, so for example, I wish I kind of asked because I saw Sydney, she's another dental student, a D3 at our school. But I didn't ask her questions. I guess because I was nervous that day. But one thing I wish I asked is like how she juggles clinic and didactics. Um, because sometimes I struggle with that now, but I guess that's how I'd ask her and like how like what Amaka was saying, how they manage their time. Um, because dental school is definitely different from college and we're also in school all day. So then you have to come home and study and like you also want to sleep on time and you might not have enough time. So I think questions like that would help.
Okay. Savannah, Linda?
Um, I ask questions like what is the relationship between faculty and like the students? Like, do y'all feel like y'all have a good relationship with them or that they're able to help? Those are questions I was asking as well.
Yeah, and I think my questions were just more time management questions. How do you balance, your personal life and the academics, and what does that look like being a student at that school?
Okay. The one thing that has not been shared so far is like the curriculum. For
Mm.
instance, it is important to find out what the curriculum is. Like a lot of like if you're thinking about dental school, you're already a type A personality. You judge yourself more than anybody could try to judge you. So you know better what will work for you or what you think you need to know from dental school. So it is important to know what the curriculum is like because for instance, our school is like all digital. Like I have completed the dental unit without mounting an articulator. It is completely digital. There is like no mixing of alginate or anything of that sort. If
Um,
you feel as if something of that sort will be important to you, it is important to know that before you're committing to that school or before you are spending that money to apply to that school. So find out about the curriculum as well. Of course, it is important to know what the day-to-day life is. But when you do that, do ask from a wide array of people because people manage things differently. For instance, I have classmates that adjust themselves, and I'm here with three boys that I have to run after. What I do for time management will definitely not work for everybody, but do ask, find out from a wide range of people how they manage their time. And for something that Micah and Brittany have shared, Our school starts clinical like your first year. Like by the end of November, you're in clinic, but we are still required to be in school from 8 till 5. Is that something that you can handle? Does your learning style allow you to thrive in that type of environment? Do find that out. As Isaiah shared, do reach out to faculty if you know, if you do have access to that faculty, do reach out. Because I know for me, I was on the website pulling up faculty information, looking for their emails and reaching out to them. Some of them will respond, some will not. But then the worst thing they can do is that they will not respond. But do reach out and find out as much and take advantage of social media. The DMs work. Take advantage of social media, use that. My next question was regarding because I know for a lot of us Texas residents, like the application to Texas schools is 200. Like that's it. 200 and you apply to 4 schools. However, the application for every other school, I think it's is it 125 now? It's about 125 per school. So my next thing is this, like if you for people like and as they've shared, like Texas schools have that reputation of being difficult to get into. If
Yeah.
money was not an issue, what other criteria will you use to narrow down your school list? Like what do you think if I am looking for a school, what should I look for? We've mentioned the lifestyle, the curriculum, but considering that money is not an issue, because I know for me, I had to go to some place that I can afford. But if money was not an issue, like ideally, what should you be looking for?
I'll speak on this one. So for me, I'm a non-traditional student. So I wanted this dental school journey to be like my last leg of formal education. So I was really looking for programs that would also offer me the ability to get an MPH as well as completing my DDS degree. So when I was looking for programs, I was looking at programs that did offer MPH opportunities. So yeah, so I applied to both programs. And so yeah, that's one of the, I wanted just this to be the last leg of education. I don't think I could see myself going back to school and completing a MPH after dental school, aside from doing a residency program. But yeah, I was looking for a dual degree program to kind of just be like done, done, done. So that was important for me in narrowing down like my choices of schools as well.
I
That's
think,
Okay.
the same for me as though. Sorry.
no, I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing. That's one of the reasons why I chose ASDO as well, because they have a dual MPH as well. So
Um, I think one thing you need to know before, well, you don't need to have your whole life figured out, but you should know where you want to, like, what you want to do in the future or have an idea. So, you should know, like, if your school is good for, specializing, or if your school, like like Linda was saying, if your school is good for MPH, like what you want to do, what you want to get out of dental school. I think it's good to research about that, to also narrow down the schools even more.
Yeah, that's something that I was going to mention is looking if the school has residency programs. Currently at our school, since it's a new school, it opened like 3 years ago. They don't have any residency programs because they're just getting their foot in the door. But if that's something that you are interested in, then that would be something to. Um, and I think I also just looked at weather because I did like I started my what's it called ASDAS whatever application for out of state schools, and I didn't put a lot of schools like in the Northeast because I knew that I wouldn't be able to handle it. But
Wow.
also in addition, I added schools like Howard and Mahari, which are known for like promoting diversity in dentistry. Um, so there are different factors besides what I mentioned too, but I think that's also a big one is looking to see if they have residency programs, even if you don't know what you want to do, because I didn't know what I wanted to do like prior to coming into dental school in regards to specializing, but now that I'm kind of having some sort of idea, it would have been nice if the school that I go to also had residency programs. So that's one thing you can look at.
I think one more, sorry to add another one. Academics. So for example, my school is a pass-fail school. That's another important thing if you just want, not saying that other schools that aren't pass-fail don't have like teamwork or a lot of, I guess, teamwork. But I do feel like my school is very team oriented and our class like works together to help each other. It's not too competitive. Um, but yeah, I think that's another very big factor.
Yeah, that's the same with me as well. Everything y'all said, I completely agree with. The pass fail, the wanting to specialize. I was also looking at class sizes as well, because I feel like I work better in a smaller class size versus a large one. So that was a big one for me. Also, how much like the school values like community service and community outreach was also really big for me as well. And I like would ask questions like what technologies does the school use? So like just trying to like sense my level, like trying to sense the level of education I would get at that school were probably the main things I was looking for.
Okay, I have a few more questions, but I'll go ahead and open it to our mentees. If they have any questions they would like to ask. If you could put it in if you're not comfortable saying it out, do put it in the chat. But while they come up with that, you all mentioned the pass fail and the steps for after dental school. How do you come up with that while you're still just applying to school? Like, because yes, you can look that up. Like, is it like a personal value? Like how do you, like, what value do you, because for me, pass fail means that it's not a dog wall. Like we will all make it out alive if we get through the so I did not want that pressure because I got into dental school knowing that I would like to specialize. However, I did not want to be in an environment where it's just like all vicious and everyone is just trying to be the top 10% of class because in a pass fail, we'll all make it out alive. So aside and the curriculum, aside from that, like what like you all have shared a lot of things such as the pass fail, the daily schedule. If you were talking, if I was applying to dental school, I'm like, okay, what else should I add to my list? What else can I add?
Another good one was how early that the students see patients. That was also really big for me as well. And I think with ASDO, they start seeing their, don't quote me on this, but maybe they're the end of their first year or the beginning of their second. So they start seeing patients pretty soon. So I really wanted that early exposure with, even if it's just the cleaning or prophy, just that interaction with the patient. So that's one thing I really liked.
And to add on to what Savannah just said, at our school, we get to see patients in our first semester of our first year. So I'm a first year student. I'm now in my second semester. By last semester, I saw 3 patients, I think, like actually like did fillings and restorations on those patients. So that was really cool. That was a big selling factor for why I chose tech. And then also I know something, I don't know if it's publicized at all schools, but sometimes you'll know if schools require you to find your own patients or if they find patients for you. If you're required to find patients, I know that's an added stress factor on top of all the stress that comes with dental school. So if the school is a school that finds patients for their students, then I feel like that's a big bonus too in choosing the right school for you.
That was a big factor also in why I came here because I talked to dental students at different dental schools when I was interviewing, and also like the dentist I worked for, she told me it was tough to find her own patients. So that's one thing I really loved about Texas Tech. I didn't want to also like going into a new city that's far away from home. I don't know anybody, like I didn't know how I would get patients, but thankfully they picked for us.
Yes. And not just finding your patient. At some schools, you have to buy your own practice tea. You have to buy your lab equipment. So do think about that while you're making your list. So do think about that, what the additional cost will be. And when it comes to cost, when it comes to cost, do understand that if you plan ahead, which was we talked about in a goal setting workshop, if you plan ahead, there are some scholarships that are available. The Health Service Corps scholarship. Even if you're young enough, not my age, but if you're young enough, you can always join the military and give back those 4 years. Do understand that there's some resources to help with the financial burden, because for most people, it always comes up to like that financial cost that they're trying to limit. But do understand that there's some resources for you. But the main things that you should look for, you should look if the lifestyle that you're going to have that school is going to match yours. If the weather can, I'm from the tropics, I cannot do cold, even though my undergrad is from Wisconsin. If they look into like some, but then I knew I could not go back to Wisconsin. I knew I could not handle that weather. I knew I was like cranky for 9 months out of the year, and that was not for me. um look into things like that, look into the cost. And then the one that I hope you all got from this session is that find the right people to ask the right questions to. It is more important than you ever know. Find the right people and ask the right questions to. And then the last, I during the second set, so Kimberly is asking about how you cope with waiting, especially if especially if you do not get in the first time. How do you handle that wait time?
For me, I'll talk about my experience. The when I applied the first time, I took a gap year to kind of reprocess and recalibrate. And within that gap year, I actually went back and I did a master's program that was very heavy science based. I'm a non-traditional student, so I had been out of school for a very long time, and my sciences were really old. So I had taken all my prerequisites again, um, prior to applying that first time. But after I spoke to some admissions counselors, we kind of went through some advisement. They were like, it would be good if you could, really prove that you can handle the heavy sciences because you've been out of school for quite a bit of time. So I found a master's program at Rutgers, and I went through that, and it's been successful for me. I think that helped me also to uh, prep for the DATs because it was very science and heavy based. But I actually got into dental school this time around with I took the DATs twice. I got in with my first scores. So yeah. So I'm not saying that a master's is for everyone, but that's just what I did. If you are not looking at the master's route, I would recommend, volunteering, shadowing, um, anything that you can do to kind of really build up your application.
Um, so from applying the first time, I think what helped me, I did take my DAT again. I brought my score up by 1 point, which that 1 point helped a lot. But I guess just like I worked also as a dental assistant, not dental receptionist. I was in the front. I think that also helps just staying in the environment that you want to be in your future. That helped. I think another thing that could help, I didn't do it, but one of my friends did, is a post back. Um, at our school, and I don't quote me, but I think at other schools too, you're like, if you do the post back, you're guaranteed an interview. I think that could also help better your chances the second time. But just staying in the environment, staying positive, seeing I think also seeing people's stories of how they got in, that also helped give me hope that I would get in the second time. Um, but yeah, just try to better your application, add more volunteering hours, add if your DAT score is low, improve that. If you can improve your GPA, do like a master's or even the post back, stuff like that.
Okay. I will share like I think a lot of us, especially type A personalities, you're always worried about that period of waiting. You feel like you're wasting time. As I have shared before, like there is no period of waiting that is wasted. Even if during that time you get to sleep, because believe me, there'll be a time like now that you pray for that time to sleep. However, during that period of waiting, so long as you're staying on target, as Brittany said, you don't have to work as a dental assistant if you don't want to. But there's always dental research. You don't have to work. Like there are things that you can do that will show, because we will have that session with like our admissions officers. The main goal is trying to see that you still have that passion for dentistry, the passion for helping people, and that you can survive the rigors of school. So long as you keep yourself in that headspace, because it is very frustrating. There is a lot of self-talk that can hold you back. Brittany shared that seeing other people succeeding. It depends, because there's some people that are being boastful and some people that are being helpful. Because I fell into the student doctor network trap. And I was like, oh my goodness, I would never live up to that. Meanwhile, there was so much more else that you are doing that you cannot see, because you're spending this time looking at people that are presenting just the ideal, which it's really important to find like that network that can be supportive and that can help you and remind you that the period of waiting is not a period of wasting. If you could just remember, the period of waiting is not a period of wasting, because I know for a lot of us, especially women, we are like, okay, I'm too old. There are people that have done it older than you, tired, more tired than you, more confused than you, and the only difference between them and you is that they did not give up. So as much as you're waiting, it is not wasting. Just find a way to keep yourself busy. And as my dad always says, a successful person is not the person that makes it, it's that person that goes through all that you can think of and doesn't give up. So long as you keep thinking about it, be like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. It's easier said than done. But if you can train your mind that I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, it comes in handy when you're in school and you feel that exam that you studied 3 nights for. Or when you know you have like all what you need for residency and you don't get accepted. Or even in residency when you know you have everything to be chief and you don't get chief. The faster you can develop that mentality of like, I can do this, or not even that, oh my goodness, I have to do this, I get to do this. It is really helpful, the self-talk that you do to yourself, because it is more important than anything that you have to do. The self-talk, how you talk to yourself and how you keep yourself motivated. Um, for Gordon and Masters in Mathematics and MBA, I'll be applying this year. I never talk about Masters, not being science focused. Does anyone want to take the questions about science focus? Like, what do you think? Do you think it must be like a biology, biochemistry, something of that sort?
I personally don't think so. I think honestly, a lot of schools are looking for a lot of diverse type of students. I think if you have the basic necessities for the requirements, the DAT scores that schools are looking for, I think it's great that you're just not the traditional science student and you have, 2 masters and MBA in mathematics and to offer. So I wouldn't necessarily focus so much about the degrees you have, but just making sure you meet the requirements for the school that you're looking to apply to. Um, you asked about like advice. I do have some sample emails I can share with you. If you want to drop your email, I can copy it and reach out to you and send you the just the like a template of what I used.
I do have some templates as well that I do share on the Mentee group. So if you haven't joined, we do have a Mentee group where you could join. We do have some dental students and pre-dental students as well. And I believe it was the last thing that I was going to talk about, like just finding the resources. Diversity in dentistry has been around for a while, but if diversity in dentistry is not your vibe, there is a lot of other programs that you should reach out to. Like, the process of dental school, unlike medical school, can be very isolating. There is a lot of resources for many other graduate programs. They're very limited for dental school, especially for minorities. So if you have the chance, do reach out and find a community that you can be a part of and use the resources as much as you can. Like use it to you like if there is someone that would be like, send me an email, I'll help you, send them an email for everything. Use the resources available to you. Savannah shared about the breakdown that they had in DAT Booster. Do any of you have any other resources that you can share?
I'll talk about the one I used. I used the ADA Dental Explorer Guide. that
Mhm.
Adia releases, very similar to Booster. It has like all the contact information, the vision statement of the school, the mission statement, contacts. It has demographics, basically anything you want to really know about the school, and what programs, residency programs, anything you want to know about the school is just right there on one sheet of one page. I found that helpful instead of clicking through and, clicking through the website, because that can be just very overwhelming. So I actually, it's $35. I purchased it, but I found it to be very helpful. You can filter out based on your GPA, private school, state school. It allows you to play with it and kind of really see where you fit in and your chances of being accepted into a school, average DAT scores based on percentile and what have you. So I can send the link for the Adia book if anyone is interested in purchasing that. But
Okay.
that's the official guide that Adia sends out.
Okay. I'm copying the emails that I'll share with the I'm copying the emails I'll share with the panelists as well. Um, Kimberly or Leah, can you all please post the link for the WhatsApp group? I am having issues finding it right now. Because we do have the WhatsApp group for mentees, where if you where we just try to help each other on there. So if someone can share that. Did anyone have, in the interest of everyone's time, we are pulling up to the hour. Did anyone have anything that they would like to ask, like to share? And I did post the attendance link, especially if you're a dental student or a pre-dental student. We are so fortunate that we have this fund. We have the sponsor of the month. For this month, our sponsor of the month is Exudent with Dr. Joel Berg. He's amazing. He's been supporting diversity in dentistry for forever. But what we are doing with the sponsor of the month is that we have a scholarship. It is $500 for the pre-dental students and $500 for the dental students. The application for last month has closed. The application for the month of May is going to open on the 15th. But to be able to qualify for the scholarship, you need to have attended at least one event. So that is what the attendance form is for. So if you haven't, please do the attendance form and do put the code in there. That way you can be considered for the scholarship as well. And as I will share again, we're very active. We do have the mentor matching that finished last month. However, if you do not match with a mentor, do take advantage of our social media, because we have a lot of mentors that do not do one-on-one mentorship. But as some of you can testify, they're very active on social media and will do their best to help you if need be. Leah has posted the link to the WhatsApp group if you are able to join us. It is helpful. I do know they have some study groups and things like that that are helpful. And it's just a place to go vent, because sometimes we need to vent and we cannot do it when you are one of 5 Black people in your school. Just but I hope this was helpful to all of you as it was to me. And do understand that this is not just for dental school. A lot of people think, a lot of people share that dental school is like the end. However, there is a lot more that you need to do after dental school, that a lot of these skills that you develop now will be very useful for, especially when it comes to networking. Even if you're not going to specialize, you still have to work and you still need that network. Even if you are planning on specialize, you still need to be able to narrow down where you plan on specializing, because after going for 4 years, your next thing is another 4 years. You still need to be able to filter it out. But just to highlight the points, find the right people to ask the right questions to. Look at all the resources that you have available. Like, be aggressive about finding your resources and your network. For me, I know I share this all the time. I went on Facebook and I saw a group that said like Black Dental something. I'm like, hi everyone. I'm a 35-year-old mother of 3 boys and I'm thinking about dental school. And they're like, nah, stick to what you're doing. I'm like, oops. So I went to Instagram and like, hi everyone, I'm trying to find a network. And it is like night and day, like how that process of application changed for me. Once I found people that will support me or even be like, ooh, have you thought of this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? So if you find yourself in that position, please do find a network. Find that network, find that community and be a part of it because it makes a difference. Like you will not, dental school can be very isolating, especially for minorities, because I think at our school, Amaka and Brittany, I think there are like, what, 8 of us? There are like 8 of us Black people in the dental school. There is
We're a new school. We're a new school.
Yes, there is about 8. There is about 8, and if and even for faculty, even less. That yeah, you need that community. So if you can find it, and as I will share, if diversity in dentistry is not your vibe, please do find someone that is your vibe and stick to them because these 4 years will feel like 40, and you will need that help. So without much ado, I will go ahead and end the recording. So thank you all so much for making the time on a Wednesday. And I just need to throw it in there that our recordings are on YouTube. We do talk about many topics. We've talked about this before. So do go to our site and find that and watch it. There is a lot that you can learn from it. So thank you all. Thank you all so much to the panel.
Wait, Luma, before we leave, can we take a picture, please?
Sure.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, everybody say cheese.
If you can get on camera, please do get on camera. Leah, I know you're there.
Girl, I'm looking rough. I can't do it today. Otherwise, I would.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. Let me take one. Let me take 1, 2 for our social media. So one moment. 2. Thank you. So on our next session, which is going to be so if there is any questions that you still have that were not answered, if there is anything else that you still need to talk about, we're going to have our mixer. Our mixer is the 3rd Saturday of the month. We still have our mixer. I don't even know when that is, but it will be the 3rd Saturday of the month, and it will be with me. We do have some mentors that do show up for that as well. That way you can ask your questions. Our next session is going to be about doing your application. So please, if you are available to join us, as you can tell, there is some, like, even if you feel you have nothing to share, there is some information that you can share that will be helpful. So thank you.
I think we have some questions. I don't know.
Yes. Hey, Glory. I'll stop.